Alrighty, Roger. So thanks for joining us today. And so you have the floor. Let me know how I can help you today.
So two of my friends and I, we're three members, and we're trying to start an LLC in Florida. We're doing FBA on Amazon. So I was about to register online. I bought the registered the business address and everything. And one of my mentors recommended that I shouldn't go for a multi-member LLC. Instead, I should just have one of the members make a single-member LLC and have a partnership agreement in Pakistan that says that, we have certain shares. So I wanted to ask why that's the case. Like, should I just go with the multi-member LLC, or should I go with a single member and have a partnership deed here instead?
So the person that told you not to do the multiple member LLC, did they give you any reason as to why you should not do multiple member LLC?
They basically told me that it's going to be more difficult to keep the accounting in check, and you have to file some extra tax forms and stuff, and it might be more expensive for the accountant, hiring an accountant.
Yeah, I mean, it's if that is the reason, it kind of makes sense, because a partnership return is more complicated than a single member LLC. Okay, so with a single member LLC, the return is very streamlined and okay. I mean, you file an information return, which is a 5472 and 1120, and then you report related party transactions, okay, as long as you have a single member LLC. Now, when you have a partnership, you file what we call a Form 1065, and in the Form 1065, you have a K1, K2, and K3. Also, when you are foreign persons who, if you have a foreign persons owning a US multiple member LLC, when we're doing the accounting and all of that stuff, we have to figure out what income is domestic versus foreign, and then we have to split them out. We have to figure out what deductions are definitely related to foreign income versus domestic income, and then we have to split them out on the K2 and the K3 forms. So yes, the analysis is very complicated, and the accounting and the tax return is complicated for partnership. So if there's a way you can go and do it, single member LLC, to just achieve a much, a less complex situation, that's much better. If that is why your friend wants you to do that, then that's okay. All right. Yeah. However, you've indicated that you are three people who wanted to come together to do this thing, right? The question is, if you do the LLC, where would the other two members be?
Yeah.
If you do the single member LLC, what will happen to the other two members?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was a bit hesitant. I was thinking, should we just go with a three-member LLC? But I was told recently by someone that if we have a single-member LLC in the US and we make a partnership deed in Pakistan, we can just say that, we have certain shares for that business, and we only get one transaction when we pull our funds, and then we don't get taxed on that, basically. Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe the person is not explaining it correctly, but the way I would tell you to do it is, since all of you live in Pakistan, right?
One of us is in Australia. I just moved back to Pakistan from the US.
Okay. And so, but you have two of you living in Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then one lives in Australia. So really, what I would advise you guys to do, and plus, I mean, it may not be the best option, but you have to check with other local accountants within the countries. But if you guys are already three, you can either choose Pakistan or Australia and form a company there, okay? But before you do this, check to see what the tax implication is going to be for that company. And when you form that foreign company, you guys form it and own it directly in your respective countries, then that company can now own the US LLC, okay? In that case, it still becomes a single member LLC, and the income just flows through to the foreign company. So you guys need to figure out, if it's easy for you to form a company in your own country, you come together, you form it, and then you use that company to own the US LLC. you will still
Yeah.
achieve the single member LLC route. You'll still get to be treated as a single member LLC because in this case, it's a foreign company that owns the US LLC.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the best advice I've received so far. I've called so many people, man. Like, it's been crazy for the past few days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that actually makes the most sense. I think that's the route that we're gonna go.
Yeah, but I mean, before you do that too, you know, you have to check. The first question I will ask myself, if I was one of the partners, the first question I'll probably ask myself is, okay, good. I know maybe my Pakistani company can own a US LLC. That's all fine. But how is Pakistan going to treat this company that has a US LLC? So that part of the puzzle, you need to solve it in your country. If you ask a CPA in Pakistan and he think that arrangement is fine and you're not going to probably pay more taxes or lower taxes, then you keep it like that, right? Or if it turns out that the Pakistan entity owning a US LLC is not a good thing in Pakistan, then look into Australia. How would Australia do it? Since you have one member also in Australia, look into that and see where is favorable.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna schedule some time with the Pakistani CPA then and go over everything.
Okay, cool. All right. You got more questions for me?
Yeah, so I had one more quick question. So basically we're not trying to get any, like we're not trying to pay ourselves any income, and we're not trying to take out any money. We're going to be reinvesting till we reach a certain revenue, and then we're going to start taking out a bit of the money. So far for taxes, like for the first 2-3 years, we're not taking out any money. So how would that work? Like, can we just say that we're not pulling out any money so we don't get taxed on that, or what? How would that exactly work? I'm not sure.
It's based on the activities that the company is doing, right?
Okay.
So if we go into the activities of the company and we realize the company's income is not taxable, then you're free to do whatever you want to do with the money that stays in the LLC's account, right? So you can either take it or you can leave it in there. As long as it's not taxable, then we're fine. And non-residents are taxed on 2 types of income. Income that is effectively connected to US trade or business, and an income that is not effectively connected, okay? So those will be the not effectively connected incomes will be the passive and investment incomes like the rent, the royalties, the dividend. And then, but based on how we started this conversation, it looks like you will be in the active trade business, which is either sales or services, which falls into the first category, which is effectively connected income. But just because you're doing sales and services through a US LLC does not mean you have effectively connected income, okay? We have to look into your activities to figure out whether you're engaged in US trade or business. And I use, you know, when I talk to a lot of the time through my videos and everything, I use 3 things to explain what could trigger a US trade or business. Number 1 is if you travel here physically to do any kind of work for the LLC, then you're going to potentially have a US trade or business and you'll be required to pay taxes. However, if there's a treaty between your country and the US and you can prove that you don't have any permanent establishment here, then you can use a treaty to override it, okay? Now, the second one is if you hire employees, they could cause you to be engaged in US trade or business. So that one too needs to also be analyzed. The third one is if you've set up offices and warehouses and locations here, you also need to be careful because that could trigger you to pay taxes in the US. But if none of these things comes into play, then you're fine, okay? If no physical presence, no offices, no US employees, no exclusive contractors, then your income is not going to be taxable here in the US. So it can stay in the LLC account as long as you want, that's fine. As long as the activity that caused that income to be in the bank account is not taxable, there's nothing to worry about.
Okay. All
right.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
All right,
that
cool.
was really helpful.
Well, thank you very much. And then, hey, one thing I would say is this advice is strictly, you know, federal level taxes. When it comes to states, we have 50 states in the union. So how each of these states treats LLCs are different. So with those ones, you need to go into, if you're starting to make more money in a specific state, you need to start looking into the laws of that state and how they tax income. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, okay. Well,
Thanks
thank
a
you
lot.
very much, Raja. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Bye.